Hi, episode 18. Welcome.
Episode
We're live
18.
now.
Welcome, everybody.
The
Welcome,
camera's
everybody,
going,
to
the
the
mixer's
studio.
going. We get some of this going.
Thanks for being inside the
saw that from the
Sulphurbath
audience.
tonight.
Yeah, inside the Sulphurbath. Episode 18. This is really crazy, right? So
It
it's
is.
been 18 weeks of blood-curdling toil and live broadcast, right?
Yeah.
So
18 whole weeks.
We'll have to describe that blood-curdling toil later, but
Well, actually, 17 weeks elapsed time.
really?
Because we don't count the week of prep before we did the first episode.
Oh, that's true. But we did 2 episodes in 1 week, and then we took a week off. Okay,
Mhm.
so 17 weeks, 18th episode. Tonight, joining us, we have poet Daniel Gonzalez. What's up, Daniel? How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome.
Great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're neighbors, and we work together, and we've jammed together recently, and we're collaborating now,
We're
right?
gonna talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. We can reference
talk
it
about all
without
of it.
going into it.
Yeah,
right?
I think everybody's gonna reference it for a while.
Yeah.
But no, we are. I would say pretty good friends, and love you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
Yeah, love you too, man. It's been cool knowing you, and like, so many times now on the show, we've had like neighbors and just friends here in Bushwick that have just run into us and been like, "Hey, come and hang out on the show." And so many good painters and musicians and poets and a lot of great people around in Bushwick right now. It's really great to
Scientists,
have this show and to share all
thinkers.
this.
Writers.
Scientists, thinkers, writers, pundits. Have we had any pundits on the show yet?
Not quite.
That's an open call for pundits out there. If there's any of you pundits out in the world that, get a hold of us, info@sulphurbath.com. But yeah, so how long you been doing poetry, man?
Honestly, not too long. Would say a couple months, almost a year now. I fell into it when I was working on my third novel, where I had this crazy character that was based on Kurtz, the white ivory trader in Heart of Darkness, who I wanted him to speak in pure poetry. And then I had to write poetry, but in order to do that, you have to do research. And then I started reading poetry, and then, totally fell in love with it. And now I write it recreationally, I guess you could say, yeah.
That's great. And you take part and do the poetry reading every Tuesday night at Mama Joy's, right?
It's not necessarily just only a poetry reading. It's no rules.
Discussion.
It's a gathering of writers who want to hang out and just like meet other writers. Like we had a guy who showed up and he read his the first act of his play that's about homosexual cartel dealers in Mexico on the Texas border. And then at the same time we had a guy who wasn't a writer, was a painter, just wanted to hang out, and he read Casual Encounters, the best of on
cool.
Craigslist. So yeah, we go all of it.
That's
And of
interesting,
course
yeah.
there's like poetry and actual like prose in between it, but have fun.
Yeah, like
Right.
found poetry and experimental communication somehow and stuff like that. That sounds awesome.
The whole point is just getting everybody together and just like trying to get people away from just the solitude of sitting there and writing by yourself, which is writing. I can't think of anybody who's actually working on a novel while 15 frat parties are going on around them. So yeah, it's an isolated.
Just hanging out, writing a book.
Yeah. As you do, as a lot of people like to at Starbucks. But
I imagine that people in Starbucks are writing books, but
They're not.
probably
Yeah, they're
on
all writing
Facebook or-
blogs.
they're working on their blog.
Yeah.
They're fixing up their WordPress.
They're watching YouTube videos.
Posers. But
That
anyway.
reminds me, I have a meeting at Starbucks at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
To watch YouTube
Yeah.
Oh,
videos.
11 a.m. And you're gonna party with me today?
Yeah, I'm going to do some blogs and, yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I have
Nice.
to be up early too. So.
And so I think that's really good to have an outlet like that here in Bushwick. I mean, there's a lot of open mic nights as far as music and stuff like that too, but you don't really see too much poetry stuff, right? It's of that like open mic reading.
I don't see a lot
and people
advertised.
contributing.
Maybe I don't look well, but it doesn't seem like there's a ton.
It hasn't been properly advertised. I've only done 2 weeks so far, and it's drop it right now. 1084 Flushing Avenue to anybody who wants to know. But 9 p.m.'s Tuesdays. The first night initially, I totally dropped the ball. And 10 p.m. the night before, I got super drunk with one of my friends and hand wrote all of the posters because we didn't have a printer, and we hung them up drunkenly all over the place. And,
Great way to start, man. That's good.
and we had a turnout of 12 people, and I gotta say, like, probably one of the key moments of that night was at the same time I have this gorgeous bartender who happened to have been working that night, and she got the firefighters from right down Morgan to come by, and naturally Brooklyn firefighters. I'm a native of New York, so I can kind of, grasp it. The guy, they were all young guys, and then this one old guy who's like the short, typical Brooklyn, white hair, blah blah blah. He's shit-faced drunk. He goes into the backyard when we're having the writers collective, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he's listening to somebody read. He turns around and he goes, "You fucking wrote that? That's a fucking classic, man. That's fucking beautiful.
Nice.
If you guys are writing this shit." He goes outside. The bartender later told me that he turned around to all the firefighters. He's like, "Yeah, you know them fucking nerds out there? They're doing some good shit. I know we give all these hipsters a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But hey, we gotta rethink it."
Yeah.
And like when I like came back out, and the bartenders told me this like after they left and everything, and it was wonderful to hear a Texan do a Brooklyn accent. And she told me the whole story, and I'm like, honestly, that was fucking worth everything. That was worth it all right there. Just to, I really just don't want to try to put any kind of boundary around it, but just to say fuck all for once, and to do something that's just
Natural.
pure, natural or pure, whatever.
Yeah, that's really great. And there's so much happening in this neighborhood right now. And to think, I mean, that's kind of what we base the show on, is kind of the dissemination of information from different artists and different thinkers. And we're kind of plopped down in this one environment, and, everybody's got a different angle on what they're doing. But let's share it, and let's talk, and let's, communicate, basically. And I think that's a fucking amazing story. Yeah, that's really cool. Can she get those firemen on our show and like come here and like we'll interview them, and then they'll walk away and be like, "Hey, fucking Sulphurbath, I gotta say."
I could probably get the captain over there, as long as I get that same bartender to go over and ask. And I think Greg and Mike, you both know who that is. So
we'll see what's up. We'll see what's up. I feel like I should like turn and wink into the camera or something.
And be like, and honestly, like how that would be pretty interesting to get like a fire captain.
That's the kind of thing we want to do.
Over
sure.
here,
Wouldn't
like,
that be cool? Yeah.
That might be doable.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was this fire station that was down the street here. I mean, we should mention it wasn't even basically a year ago. They had a real tragedy there. I don't know if you heard about that, but basically the biggest tragedy in Bushwick that's happened in a long time, and they were fighting a fire and a roof collapsed, and they lost a few of their guys. And it was like enough of them at once that it was this, everybody in Bushwick was talking about it and knew about it in the news. And so, yeah, shout out to those guys, keeping people safe. And at the same time, like, this is their neighborhood, and now it's changing. And to have these interactions at a random bar about poetry, like, how cool is that? That's awesome.
No, that is a really great story.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it tonight.
Oh, thank you.
You're bringing it.
Yeah.
So speaking of bringing it, you want to, you can do some reading for us tonight?
Yeah. I want to start off pretty much with just a normal poem that I wrote, but I was working on something previously. Obviously, I'm not in the in the midst of any form of sobriety.
We have plenty of time right now. I mean, so you can just free flow and do what you want. We're gonna let Daniel Gonzalez. We're honored to have you tonight, man. So we're gonna give you up the mic and the camera, and we're gonna arrange things right now with the computer. So. Yeah, poet Daniel Gonzalez, thanks for joining us, man.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Mike, Greg, I love you guys.
Sweet. Cheers.
You're all good. Cheers, too.
Yeah, Daniel Gonzalez.
I don't exactly... I got to be honest with you. I didn't plan any of this out in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. My plan was just basically drink and try to write a little bit, and I try to do something original. But then I kind of cut it off. But I'm going to read it anyway because, who gives a fuck? All right. I got this one poem that's... I wrote it on July 17th. I used to date somebody who was pretty big in the literature world, and she pretty much showed me how fucked up it is and everything like that, and introduced me to a lot of writers, a lot of literary critics, a lot of publishers, and most of them, I gotta say, honestly, I despise. So I kind of burnt every bridge while with her. But we had a couple good nights. It's not the real name. Don't bother asking. All right, so this one's called Rebecca. We indulged in each other on a rooftop off Wilson Avenue. The glasses of whiskey and melted ice water spilt on the blanket she laid out, our feet black from the tar dancing as our limbs pretzeled passionately. She called me her moonlight as she plucked away the stars from the sky like dandelions. Inside her I felt enormous passion, our love cataclysmic and wonderfully destructive. We lay in a pool of our sweat and kissed each other's shoulders as the gladiators executed themselves, trying in vain to draw our eyes. But we could ignore it all. No facades here, no recycled compassion to shove down the throats of the drones. I'm not responsible for them having to wake up tomorrow and feel good about themselves. Die in your sleep for all I care, you slaves to the mundane. I have too much to do with her, too much attention to focus on the little world we created for ourselves. None of you peons matter. She told me to stop writing because Goethe is going to rise from the grave and cut off all my fingers and my tongue. I asked how and she said she'd summon him. I asked how again and she said she'd fuck herself from sunset to sunrise shouting Faust backwards in original German. I blushed, drunk off her madness, fully aroused. A love so sickening it cripples any ability to care for the past, present, or future. Let's die together. Stab me in the heart as we come. You are the most beautiful person I have ever met. Your voice is rhythmic and true. Your touch scars my soul. You smell of vanilla, booze, and cigarettes. My fallen angel, stay with me forever, Rebecca. So, yeah, lots of alcoholism there. I'm sure if my mother's listening, she's very proud. She's a Catholic school principal in the neighborhood. Let's get her fired. I don't know exactly what to call this. I started writing something for the show originally, and slowly I kind of want to keep going with it, so it wasn't going to get cut off in the time frame. So if I just like run off, just like give me like a Kafka pass or something like that, just like it's unfinished. No title, literally. The laxatives in this cocaine has me sitting on a disgusting toilet in the basement of one of Brooklyn's shittiest dive bars. Stomach ready for more Narragansett, I use my key to indulge in a dash of the devil's dandruff and do a round of hellos on the main floor with a surly grin on my face. At my finest as I hide from the sickening reality that I am not ready to write my next novel. The drugs, sex, booze, 8 a.m. parties, all it does is further delay my creation. Yet to refer to it as drunkenly stumbling around offering half the hipsters in Bushwick a key bump while salivating over every granola gringo that passes, enchanting me in the ire of the Moroccan hair oil that they put in their hair 72 hours before as meaningless, that would be dead wrong. I can say to myself that I'm withering my body away, deteriorating my nasal cavities, slipping further and further away from any hair left of innocence, but overall, it's undeniably been fucking fascinating. Being not ready to get back to the gauntlet and bang out 50,000 words and then some is understandable. I am, after all, gathering new content for the next one, research, so to say. It is a fact, though, that I must be aware of the consequences of all this depravity in the sense that I know the ball is already rolling to my inevitable demise. The first novel was practice. The second was not even a novel, but rather the finding of a voice. It was this most recent one that I can truly say is art, but for every word that I put into it, I traded a morsel of my soul in return. It is based on Conrad's Heart of Darkness, one of the most harrowing and mind-numbing novels ever written. I placed my version of Marlowe on an interstellar spacecraft instead of a steamboat, and have him hurtling towards Neptune's moon Larissa to find and help kill the mad captain of a previous and identical mission. My idea of pure darkness and horror wasn't the jungle, but the infinite depths of space. Most are in awe at it. I personally respect it and find it to be a force that should never be reckoned with. I have faith in how temporary we humans are on this earth. I don't plan on messing with it or foolishly chanting gibberish about our immortality and divinity. I had to read Heart of Darkness 5 fucking times until I was satisfied I could do a decent ode to it. That's it. That's where I stopped. And then some. Thank you, guys. How much time do I have? All right. Want one more? All right, I can do that. Yeah, so for anybody who is legitimately wondering, yes, alcohol helps severely. Any artist can probably identify with that. This life is fucking dull if you listen to everybody else. All right, this one was written on August 31st. It's called Breaking Tides. I gotta be completely honest with you. The first line says it all. I was actually, I don't know if anybody knows that we're actually at the Loom right now. This is like pretty known. Well, we're at the Loom on Flushing Avenue in Bushwick. It's got this huge roof deck, and on I believe it was Memorial Day. Wasn't that the holiday that was just recently? Yeah, like just recently, I think. Nah, Memorial Day, because it was like a Veteran Day, and everybody was like, shut the fuck up. All right, so like a couple of different tenants, like six different groups of tenants decided to all come up with barbecue supplies. And you remember that one grill that was on the roof? Mike? Remember that one red grill that was on the roof? Everybody tried to use it that day. So we all like meet, and it's like literally like fucking the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're all like staring at each other like, who's gonna fucking get the grill? And we actually somehow, some way managed to merge all the parties. Fuck you. All right, so like we merged all the parties, and it was fucking awesome. There were like 30 people there, and oh fuck, I forgot the fuck about. Oh yeah, so like we're sitting there, and there's like some big, fat fucking like, once again, typical Brooklyn guy sitting right behind me, and like my group of people happened to stop talking for a second, and we could hear him. And as we stopped talking, and you know, like that little perfect moment where you hear somebody say something absolutely fucking just awful, he turns around and he's like, yeah, my wife won't let me put my cat on a leash. And I'm like, this fucking guy just say, he's like bald and everything. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Fuck your wife. So I was also dating a 19-year-old at the time, and it was fucking crazy, but it's just like an amalgamation of like just all these things that happened. This is once again called Breaking Tides. I can't leave the house with my cat on a leash. Feast on Subway rat confit. Tickle a tourist in Times Square. Be sure to instill absolute fear. The plague of disinterest and idiocy. Inhale the tear gas and keep spending. Tax our lives and throw them away. Blind will be the new black. Behold the hideousness of class and caste. The city which spawned me sold to the highest bidder. No debt yet no credit. If you're not born into it, you have to fucking work for it. That snarky hipster and her quips. Does anything to get a kick. She seemed nice, but now you know her head spins like a carousel. Novelist extinct in an age of essayists. Libraries overflowing with books whose bindings are never bent. Gossip lines for the next big event. As we pass the time, let's talk of our master's degrees. Maybe we can all agree. Call out to the wild in Morse code. Get messaged by the angry mob. Have your limbs torn off as a smile graces your face. Preach the psalm of misery. Behead your faith with reason. It rained upon the city when the water towers burst. Stepped on fragments of glass hidden in the grass of Central Park. Sold our souls to gamblers on Wall Street. Freed Rikers Island and put the museums in the crosshairs. We've seen more in 5 minutes than our ancestors saw their entire lives. Salivate over the skyline as we molest each other. Have a lobster breakfast and an absent dinner on a Sunday. Dance until all memory fades. Thrash and sing and beckon to the night. Awaken with a fright. An empty wallet, a jovial soul, and a feeling of having truly lived. What a sight. As the subtle breath of life kisses your neck, it is especially hard to admit when you peaked. Turn off the lights and knot our limbs together. I can see where the tide breaks. All right. Ready to rock and roll? Yeah, I feel good, yeah. Oh, I feel like I did something. All right. So, to sleep?
Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Yes. I have one thing I'd like to say. Howard Stern's penis.
Yeah? All right. Thanks, Daniel Gonzalez. You sat there, Mike?
That was amazing, man. Really great. Daniel. Great poetry, man. Behead your faith with reason was one of the lines that really stood out to me. That was really great.
I really stuck to can't put my cat on a leash.
Yeah, that was amazing too. I was just thinking about that recently. Like, can you do that? Walk around with your cat.
I've seen it.
The cat wants to see outdoors.
I know.
Why do we give that to dogs but not to cats?
I want to give my cat a leash.
Can't handle a fucking leash, man. Biscuit would go ape shit.
Yeah, that's true. Biscuit would go pretty crazy on a leash.
But they have some ones that you get a harness and it works real well. And then
Yeah.
Your cat can go out and get fleas.
You know, there's a cat whisperer now.
Is there?
It's not just a dog whisperer anymore.
Who's that? Is it?
He's got tats and like some crazy. I don't know. There's some show.
He's like a really like unexpected cat
Yeah,
whisperer.
he shows up and people are like, whoa, I didn't expect a cat whisperer to look like that. And they've got a great show. It's great. But how cool is that? Like, this is the second poll we've had on the show, right?
Yeah.
And this is really great. I think,
No,
covering the
we've
gamut
had more
of different.
more than two.
Well, we've had other
Definitely.
writers and
yeah.
stuff. But
It's hard. Some of the artists we've had on, some of the writers, they're. I don't necessarily want to categorize.
Yeah,
We've had other
exactly.
writers. I'll add
Yeah.
to what you just said.
Yeah, but that was great. That's the second time we've had read poetry on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really great. I think it's really good to have the whole dynamic of all the different arts in the scene here in Bushwick. It's
Performance
really great.
poetry. I like
Mhm.
it.
Cool. So we're going to go into our second segment here, and this is going to be really great. We're going to go into a musical section. We have musician, composer, and trumpet player John Turner here with us, and he's going to be backed by Fumio Toshiro. We're going to talk to John just for a quick minute before they play, so we'd like to welcome out John Turner.
Hello, Internet.
There it is, the internet.
Where are you?
Hello.
It's up above us.
Incidentally, I have seen a cat on a leash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siamese cat in Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a turtle on a leash. It's really true. The guy had like little hook glued to his turtle shell and the leash attached to it.
He must have really not wanted to pay attention because turtles don't really rush away.
Yeah.
You could probably
Yeah.
keep your eye on your turtle.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
I never thought of that, but it's a good
That's right. If you need a leash
Yeah.
for a turtle, you're pretty lazy, actually.
You really
Yeah.
just didn't want that turtle.
My
just
mother,
being
who's
nice.
in L.A., in Burbank, she's a turtle aficionado and a tortoise aficionado of sorts. Hi, Mom. And somebody in the neighborhood has these big cicada tortoises.
Mm.
And they're the ones that have the big, like, it's like King Koopa from Mario. Like, they have spikes
They
on
look
their
like
back.
dinosaurs.
And they're like dinosaurs. Yeah, they're so prehistoric and they're big. They're like that big. And there's a guy in Burbank, California that, like, walks his cicada turtles down the sidewalk.
No leash.
Just no leash.
Okay.
Are they
Just-
snapper? Will
Uh,
they take bits off of people?
He might actually have a leash, but I've only driven by his place. But no, I don't know. I wouldn't get close to it
I
because
wouldn't
it's
either. I
like
mean,
this
they're just-
massive, so strong and everything. But
King Koopa over there.
it's pretty crazy to be walking through the valley in LA and suddenly like, am I seeing that correctly? So that's cool. But you saw that in Central Park.
Both of them actually, yeah. The
Together?
cat and the turtle. Different
Oh.
years even.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of luck with finding
Yeah, man.
Yeah, people
weird
that,
pet situations.
people that aren't in New York City don't realize like how much Central Park is such an important part of the city that people like. When it was designed and everything, it was like we're in this huge metropolis. We need a place that somebody can stand there and look all the way around. And there are many parts like this in Central Park, and
Yeah.
it looks like there's no city around you. You're just in the countryside. It's pastoral. But because it's in the this huge crazy metropolis, you see all these random things like that, and it's a very interesting place, Central Park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So can you share with us a little bit of your history in music?
What do you want to know? I don't know.
So the stuff that I heard, you just jammed a little
Uh-huh.
bit already, and that Fumio shared with me really sounded amazing. I know you're touring, you record, you play a lot, it seems. Can you share with us kind of how you got started? Have you been playing since you were, a kid? Or?
I was thinking about this the other day, actually, but I was in 4th grade. No plan, no thought of it, anything. And somebody knocked on the door of our classroom, and they came in and said, "Hey, we want to give people a test if they want to be in the band."
Uh-huh.
And I just was instantly like, "Yeah, I want to do that."
Cool.
Maybe because it got me out of class.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it all happened. Started playing trumpet. They tried to make me play saxophone. Tried to give me a trombone. But I just wanted that thing. I saw it. I felt it, And here we are, man. It's like 30 years later.
That's great. Was that
Yeah.
removed from other trumpet players, or were you a fan of like?
I'd never seen one.
Okay, cool.
The first one I touched or saw was mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's something about that is like a little microcosm story about having the talent and being a musician and being able, like you said, to get out of class. And I don't know, there's something triggered something in my brain when you said that it's kind of like you have the talent, and if you're a musician, there's this alternative
this
way
out.
that you can, there's this out that it's
You
like,
don't
I
have to go to school.
Yeah.
You're gonna play music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not so, no, I don't mean so much that, like, because of course it's its own language and its own education.
Yeah.
But just the fact that at a young age there is that chance for a kid to be like, I'm going to take an instrument, and this is what I'm doing with it. And
then I followed the whole thing through, man. Marching band, all boring, everything, classical music lessons, and sitting in the orchestra. Went to college for it.
Cool.
There was no jazz or any sort of interesting program at my university when I went there, but I just did the classical thing, and then I graduated. And I thought, if all I'm supposed to do now is be in an orchestra, I don't want to do it, so I quit.
Yeah.
And
then when I stopped playing, I started going crazy.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a period before you went back to playing then, or something like that?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 months. You know, in the summer after I graduated from college, I went to Nantucket. I was working some really weird jobs as a picture framer, security guard, whatever I could do. But I started losing it, and I would walk around Nantucket singing out loud, and all these like really rich tourists like Billy Joel and Christy Brinkley would think, who's this crazy guy, right?
They would run away.
So one day I was singing this song, and my boss said, "That's a cool song. What is that?" And I was like, that is some friends of mine in Kentucky. It's one of their songs. So I called them, and they're like, "Hey, JT, we're making an album next week, man. You should come play on it."
Oh, cool.
So like left Nantucket, went to Kentucky, played on a record, and just kept going.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You're describing these little series of serendipity moments, and
That's
like,
what
that
life
one,
has been. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. So, were you already a jazz aficionado? You said at that point they didn't have any jazz program or anything. Were you already into jazz, or?
I feel lucky that no one taught me that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can hear if you go see jazz people that studied it, they all sort of sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel lucky that no one ever taught me because I just figured it out. You know?
Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That seems similar to the story that Fumio has told me actually in his experience moving here from Japan and learning jazz and just like being drawn to it and learning it himself and stuff. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
And so you've done some tours, right? You're going to share some footage with us of a tour. Can you set that up before we put it on?
Sure. Let's see how I can get there. I was in Kentucky. I was sort of locally famous in a band that was traveling around. Ended up meeting some other guys from Louisville that moved to Los Angeles and did a lot of tours. We did a TV movie for ABC television. It was insane. It was David Schwimmer's directorial debut.
Oh,
Clearly high
hard
art.
hitting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, that's great. That's cool. Super cool.
It's probably the most money ever made for the least work, and I was just high as a kite the whole time.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Yeah, man. Played ping pong, smoked weed, got a lot of money, drank.
That was your job?
Drank margaritas with Laura Flynn Boyle.
Wait, what job is this?
Yeah, are they still hiring?
There's
Or-
You can do this.
I was
still?
like,
do people
we
do this
were
still?
the band in a
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah,
so we were portraying the band.
yeah. It
So
kept coming
those
up like,
gigs
oh,
don't
go
come
talk
up a
to the
lot.
band.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then eventually moved to New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Met Fumio somewhere along the way. I made a record. Record company went out of business. God, there's so many things, man. I played with another band that was Sony Records. That was like a big, boring corporate thing. It was like a soul-killing experience that I made almost, again, too much money for. But it was like, I hated it. We played the same 35-minute show for a year and a half. The drummer and I could drink a bottle of Jameson before the show, still play it perfectly. And when
Yeah, that's how you know
There's a
when
lot of
it's-
feeling in it.
so I'm coming to the clip here. When that finished, I thought, okay, enough of this. Anything else I do from here for music is just because I love it. Because it's no good to like do this weird thing that you're not really into. You're just like a little trained monkey, you know?
And it actually ends
so-
up running counter to what you fell in love with originally.
Yeah. So I was playing with an Afrobeat band. That was
cool.
And we started touring Europe. I was spending like 2 to 4 months a year in Europe,
Great.
and doing little bookstore jobs in between. And so one of our tours, we were in France, beside Nice, and that's what the video is I'm gonna play.
Cool. And can you set up what actually the piece is? And is this, we're seeing your solo on a piece, right?
It's a solo on a piece. I even forget the name of the song right now. I did not prepare for this, really. Found this earlier today.
Cool.
What I can tell you is that this feels to me like when I see this, it's a bit of learning about, if you play a jazz instrument, it can be all about technique and being flashy. But I was literally learning like how to sort of entertain. So there's technique art, but entertainment. But
Yeah.
it all should be together to make really true good art.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So this is an audio recording of a show you played in.
This is a band called Coca-Cola. We were playing in the south of France, outside of Nice, at the Nuits du Sud festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was really great. Yeah, so
Thanks,
that was
man.
outside of Nice, or that was in Nice in
That
France?
was just outside of Nice in
Uh-huh.
a like little town square of this town called Vance.
Mhm.
Just as
It's like
outdoor.
up on a mountain. It's like up on a mountain. This town is full of beautiful medieval fountains.
That's
Wow.
great.
It was
Cool.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I've traveled just a bit in Europe, but in my travels in Europe, I kept coming across these great jazz festivals. Like, jazz is really huge in Europe, and I found
They're
even meeting people
everywhere.
that come from all
Yeah.
over the world coming to New York for jazz. And it's so crazy how jazz is such a
Universal.
mainstream of cultural sharing worldwide. It's really great.
This particular festival is really interesting too, because like, if we had a million hours, I could show you all of it. But like the people who ran it were really into having everyone jam together, which I know you
cool.
guys are into too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this night, the band that opened up for us was a sort of gypsy band from Istanbul.
Yeah.
There are about 15 of them.
Wow.
And at the end of it, they all made us play together, and we're like, "What are we gonna play? I don't know. We're gonna play something." You know, so we like taught them one of our little songs, and we all like jammed it together.
That's
really cool.
great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. A whole new language, of course, music is. And like when you're actually speaking that without it being planned with other musicians, like in my very humble, like low talent and skill of being a
Oh, come
musician and
on,
playing
come
with
on.
people,
Come
that's
on,
been
Mike.
by far like the best experience for me, is like having this actual, oh, we're talking. This is great. You know?
And it doesn't matter. That's a fallacy of our culture. Is like too many people feel like you have to be a professional, and like I'm not good enough. I can't be a professional, and so like I can't play anything, which is totally wrong. Like
Yeah.
before they invented records in the music industry, everyone played something.
Yeah.
Because they would have to sit on their back porch and just entertain themselves. You know, you couldn't like put on a record. You have to like play something.
And how much of that comes with time too. And it's just like, well, just start, and then you'll see, like, open up one day, and wow, you know, you're talking that language. It's really great. I love it. And like you referenced the jam that we have at the end of the show, it's really great because we always get to share these different perspectives and this improvised thing. But we're really pleased and honored and excited to hear the performance that you're going to do. So can you set up right now what you guys are about to do?
Sure. So back when I first met Fumio, I put out a record called Horn Resounding on a label called Baraka Foundation Records. I made a follow-up record that was finished, but the label went out of business before it was released. What I'm going to play tonight is what would have been from the third record. It's all similar to the poetry we heard. It's unfinished. There's unfinished tracks, you know, from a long time ago, maybe 9 years. I thought it'd be interesting to like take these unfinished tracks and like see what happens in this year with Fumio here with me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing it.
Hardly anyone has ever heard this. Fumio's never heard it until an hour ago.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there it is.
Okay, so gracing the screen right now, Fumio Tashiro on upright bass, and he's going to be backing up John Turner on trumpet. Thank you guys very much for joining us.
Untitled. Thanks, Internet.
How cool was that?
Thanks
That
so
was
much for
fucking
coming on the
amazing.
show.
Yes.
Thanks for performing.
JT, John Turner, thank you so much, man. That was really amazing. John Turner, Fumio Tashiro. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more? Yeah, about that.
I'm not hyping anything. I'm not selling anything. Have fun, you all.
Awesome. Yeah. Love it.
Are you
great.
performing anytime soon? Or anytime later?
I don't remember. I just did a bunch of shows, and now I'm kind of like after. It's kind of waiting for the next thing.
If
Yeah,
you
gotcha.
had a performance
Yes.
at some point in the future,
Yes.
how would one find out about it?
Great question.
Stay tuned for the answer.
All right.
I don't know. The band I'm playing with now is called Tribekistan.
All right.
I do not use Facebook, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you looked up Tribekistan on Facebook, you could find out when the gig is.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard
All right.
Tribekistan. I love that stuff, man.
You
It
have
seems
heard
like
it.
super dynamic,
Huh.
large group of guys, and they're all so talented. It's really cool stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, very awesome.
Nice.
All right, thanks again, John
Thanks for
Turner.
coming.
Very cool. Yeah, awesome. So thanks again, JT and Fumio. That was really great. Next segment is going to be our artist segment, and we're going to invite Kelli Thompson out. Kelli is this really great painter and a friend of the Sulphurbath, and so we'd like to share some of her work. So please join us, Kelli. Little adjustments aside. Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Cool, of course, yeah. Yeah, we met a few months ago, and you were showing us your paintings, and I was like, "This is amazing! Please come on our show." So, how long have you been painting? And can you share us a little background and history of your
The
life as an
whole
artist?
background. You can give as much as you'd like to as well.
Well, I mean, I've been painting and drawing forever. I mean, since I was able to do it. You know,
Cool.
it's just making images is always something that I've wanted to do and just been driven to do. And it's always been portraits, like people or animals or something since I was very small. I'm like not really interested in drawing or painting anything that doesn't look back at me.
Mm-hmm.
I find the connection in a portrait to be really interesting because it doesn't happen with other subject matter,
Like
you
fruit
know?
or buildings.
Right. Well, I mean, a different kind of connection, but there's
Right.
like an empathetic connection that happens when a viewer looks at a portrait of another person or of an animal, you know, and it's not a real connection. It's a illusion created by the artist, but I just think it's fascinating. I have always really been interested in drama and psychology and things like that. So it's always been people mainly.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's really great. You're getting right into it, and there's a lot of depth there, and of course, like portraits there's a whole history of portrait work, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
a window into the past as well in
Right.
a very pragmatic way.
Absolutely.
So, and how long have you been actually painting in the style that you're doing now? The stuff that that we're about to share that you have has really impressed me, and I wonder, was there kind of like a watershed moment where you went into that style, or have you always slowly developed into what you're doing now?
It like slowly happened, I guess. The first slides that I brought are from undergrad, like 2004. And I was in New Orleans at the time. And I started out college as a drama major, which didn't make a lot of sense. And then I was a communications major, which also did not make a lot of sense. And I was painting the whole time, but it was really difficult for some reason to make that my major and to tell my parents that I was going to be an art major. I don't know why that's any worse than a drama major, but
Right.
so yeah, I just went into it in like 2004 and I switched my major and I just like dove into it. And I discovered the work of Jenny Saville. She's an amazing painter from England, and she's still making work, but she got really popular in the 90s. And I have some images of like work that I like that I'm sort of inspired by, like toward the end of the slideshow, and there's a couple
Cool.
from her. But she also uses a very brushy breaking up of color on the surface of the skin and sort of experiments with like the attraction versus the repulsion of being confronted with artificial representations of the human image, you know, which is something that I like to play on too. So I started off when I was young and impressionable, being heavily influenced by her. I feel like I've picked up from a lot of different artists. I mean, all art is just pieces of other things that have been done, you know, like, so yeah, so I don't know, do you want to go into the
Yeah,
first?
let's go. Thank you for bringing your work. We're gonna jump into the slides now.
I think it's really interesting when artists show like older stuff that they haven't looked at in a really long time, you know.
Yeah, and you get that kind of like a
You
different
can
perspective on it.
Yeah, you can
and
see
get
like the
into it.
trajectory sort of. So this one is one of the first that I made when I switched my major to art. And these are 2004 2004, 2005, before the hurricane, I guess.
Mhm.
And they're really big. And let's see, the Sarah Screaming is the one on the right, and that one's 5 feet by 6 feet. Carly Laughing.
What's on the right is live.
What's on the right is
Yeah.
the one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know how this works.
Right,
Okay. That one's 5 feet by 6 feet. And I mean, I want the viewer to have a sort of a visceral reaction to things. And I mean, as you work on a body of work over the course of years, you sort of refine, your goals change, and you refine how you do things, and you learn how to better approach ideas and goals that you had. But
Mhm.
at this time, this big painting did make people feel a little uncomfortable, and I like that.
This piece?
That one is of my friend Carly. I painted her a lot. You'll see her a couple of times in the slideshow.
And is this large as well?
Yeah, this one's 5 feet by 5 feet,
Oh, cool.
something like that. These still exist somewhere. They're at my mom's house, I think, or something.
Yeah. What medium is this?
These are oil on canvas. And then, I don't know if you want to go on to the next one. But, yeah, so same sort of vein of, like, making the viewer feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was very brushy, and I was sort of still getting a hold on how to use the materials, you know? I mean, it takes years to really perfect your practice, I think. And I've always used oil paint, so, well, not always, but since I was about 18 or 19. So, yeah, I feel like I've gotten a better handle on it and a better handle on color since then. Now we're jumping to, like, 2008. And these are when I was in Boston, when I was in graduate school. And I feel like these sort of, there was a lot of experimenting in there, and a lot of stuff that you're not seeing that happened. But this is sort of where it picks off and continues to the work that I'm making now. And these are just single images on wooden panels. And these are also pretty large. Around the, like, I've got the numbers here somewhere, 40 by 48. 48 by 36, so pretty big. That one is from, wait, how far did we go? Wait.
We're on 10.
Okay.
That's 10.
These are all of people that I know. This is Alexia, it's called Lex on Pink, and this was part of my thesis exhibit.
Wow,
There were
that's
3
great.
paintings in my thesis exhibit. This is a detail.
So arresting.
it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you. The way that I was painting at that time, and I still do, is really thin layers of oil paint, of glazes. So lots of medium, really thin layers on a white background, because I find that the white background helps the colors to be more translucent. I don't use underpaintings.
Okay.
A lot of artists do that. This one is called Anna, Alabama. It's showing up being much more red than it is. I sort of just have issues with that particular just slide. But yeah, and then this is 2011, I guess. Anya in orange, and this is the first time that I brought a cat into it, and you'll see that I've sort of incorporated animals.
Yeah, beautiful. And I see what you're saying about the arresting nature of, like, the portrait. And what's going on with these two beings that I'm looking at. This one's very interesting. This is a David Bowie pose, isn't it?
Yeah, this is my friend Nicole Kita, and I went to school with her, and I really wanted to paint her. I can't always explain why I want to paint a person. There's just something really interesting about their face or the coloring, or I don't know exactly what it is. But she said I could if I painted her like the cover of Heroes.
Awesome.
So I did. And these aren't going exactly in order, but that's totally okay. This one was also in my thesis show. I've got the fur behind her. I don't know if you can tell that yeah, that's really carefully painted fur. And that one's about 5 by 6 as well. These are pretty big.
Wow, cool.
It's interesting to see them in little JPEGs, because the experience of seeing
For sure, there's some
paintings in general in person, it's just, it's different.
Now, do you show this work a lot? Do you have any? Is there anywhere we could go see, like, the actual paintings? Or?
You could come to my studio.
Cool.
But I have a painting up right now It's part of a show called Bridging the Gap. That's it was a group show of Queens artists, a juried
cool.
show, and right now it's at LaGuardia Community College.
Awesome.
And it was at Flushing Town Hall, and it's going to be at Queensboro College or something next. This is a painting of my cousin Megan. The colors that I choose to go behind the subjects, I'm not really sure how to explain it other than I sort of, in my mind, assign a color to people. Like, there's synesthesia, right, where people sort of assign colors to different letters and numbers, and there's a lot involved in synesthesia. It's very complicated, and that's not what this is. But I don't know. I sort of randomly associate colors. Megan's always been purple
Cool.
since she was little. I was still using really harsh color shifts, if you can see. I think I've refined that a little bit. The newer stuff that I'm making still has that, but not quite as bad. For this one, I went to the gym. There was a gym across from my studio. And I ran for like 30 minutes on a treadmill, and then I ran back across the street and took some photos of my face all red like that and made the painting. So this
Very
right
cool.
here is Mickey Avalon. He is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, probably not.
I
He's
haven't, no.
a rapper in California. He's kind of a ridiculous stage persona, is ridiculous, but he got in touch with me. I was in a magazine called New American Paintings, and wait for just a minute, don't change the images for a minute. I was in New American Paintings, and he contacted me. So this is the mock-up of the painting, which I can talk about that in just a second. But he got in touch with me. He was really nice, and he really likes art. He really wanted to buy a painting that I had already sold. So he invited me to California, and I went to California and took some photos of him and made this weird painting. I decided that I wanted to make the painting for myself. Like, I had never painted a man before. He's a really interesting looking man. I wanted to try the tattoos. This one is about 4 feet by 5 feet. And if we could go back to the photo, or maybe not. Can we go back?
Yeah, no, we're going now. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay. It's not up yet, or is it?
It's coming right now.
Okay, cool. Well, I can talk about my process a little bit. I know I'm talking so much. Do you guys have
No,
questions
this
to
is
ask
great.
me or
Yeah, of
anything?
course.
Okay, awesome.
No, this is great.
Well, the way that I put the photos together, and this sort of happened back with the one that you saw with the cat with the orange background, and out of necessity, really, because I take my own photos for all of them, and I couldn't get the cat to sit where I wanted it to, and have her where I wanted her at, as well. So I just used Photoshop to move the cat onto the table. So the one of Mickey Avalon, the photo,
Let us cue you.
okay, is it?
It's
okay.
coming right now.
All right, cool. Because I want to talk about that other cat one too, but,
Mm-hmm.
well, this one I took a ton of photos of him. He like really enjoys posing for photos. He's, I guess like a rock star or whatever.
Yeah.
He in LA, I think
He
it's
said
probably
he said he's a persona, a well-known persona. He probably likes to ham it up a bit.
Yeah. So I took a ton of photos of him, and then I took certain parts of the photos that I liked from each photo and put them together. And if you look, you can see that his arm is sort of stuck on, let's see, his right arm, and it actually, I've blurred out where it actually was above, right? Like, I don't know how well you can see these, but they're pieced together in a way that is natural, sort of, but not really. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of awkward and stiff and synthetic, which I think reflects the way that I paint.
Oh, interesting. So you're actually treating the photos in Photoshop or something before you use them as a model?
Yeah,
Like you
I
arrange it how you are
it's like a
comfortable with it?
Frankenstein of a,
Oh, cool.
of a photo.
I see. Okay.
Right, and that's sort of become my process.
Mm-hmm.
I really love the Dutch Golden Age painters, which was like the 17th, 16th, 17th century Dutch painters. And there's a stoic, like, awkwardness, I feel like, to a lot of them. And, I mean, that comes from the process of, like, having the person, your subject, come and sit often, you know? You can't have a natural painting. But I feel like I can get that a little bit, and that sort of element of just like stiffness and awkwardness, but in a way that you can't really articulate, you know, you can just sort of sense it. So that's a detail. It's not coming. It's not.
So what's this image here we're seeing?
This is Anna and Kat. This is my friend Anna and her awesome giant cat. Cat is his name. That's a Breakfast at Tiffany's reference. But she's a friend from home, and they match each other in a really interesting way. She's got this red sort of complexion and red hair, and I just think she's got a really fascinating face.
Yeah.
So I also have the photo on here that I used to make this painting. This one's 4 feet by 5 feet, I guess. That's a detail of the fur.
Wow, beautiful. I love the way you treat hair and the small details of the textures you use. It's really
you know,
great.
painting hair is very cathartic. I feel like with the skin, I work on it forever. It's tons of little layers, and it's very labor intensive, and can be really stressful. But with fur, my palette is limited. I've got like a light and a dark and a medium, right? And then it's just this same stroke over and over. And I can sort of just get lost in it. And it takes a lot of time, but I really enjoy it. And I like the challenge as well. So that's the source image that I worked from, that I made.
Cool.
Of Anna and her cat. You can tell that her head is not her head. The cat and the arm that the cat is cradled in was sort of brought and dropped in front of a different body. And then I didn't like her face, so like I said, I brought in a different face. And I just put it together and made the photo that I wanted, which is what I've been doing. So this is a painting of my friend Liz, and let's see, I'm forgetting dates. I'm forgetting to add the dates. Oh, oops. But that was like 2012. This one's 2012. This one's a little bit smaller. And I wanted to focus on the jewelry in this one, so I made some big jewelry.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. So is Liz's color is yellow, or is this so
It's
vibrant
actually
with the yellow
green.
background? Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's called cinnabar green. It's a beautiful color. I use the colors right out of the tube, and it's fun to get to do that because everything else is so mixed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I spend a lot of time on the backgrounds. They've all got this gradient happening behind them. This is my friend Courtney. This painting is actually modeled after a John Curran painting that I really love. John Curran is he's a painter, portrait artist working in New York, and is just like a hero of mine as far as, you know, artists go. And I just modeled the painting that he has made that I don't have an image of. I probably should have brought one, but it's called Big Hands. And it's the same pose and everything, but his models often have larger features in different places. Their necks will be a little longer. There's like a element of like the Mannerists, and yeah. So I just recreated it with her. She's got a really beautiful long neck and broad shoulders, and I find her proportions to be really beautiful and sort of reflexive of a current painting, a current model.
Yeah, beautiful. Your attention to detail again on the fabric and the fingers and the flesh and
Thank
everything.
you
It's
so
really
much.
amazing.
Thank you. Okay, and this one is, these are Courtney and this one, and then the next one you'll see. These are all from this year. And I have a couple more that I'm finishing up from this year. This is my friend Emily. We've been friends forever. There was a painting of her earlier licking a mirror that is from college.
Cool.
So I wanted to work on her again. There are certain people that I feel really comfortable with, and I love their, I don't know, something about them. But yeah, so I wanted to try bringing in another animal. The ferret doesn't work as well as the cat. The cat creates that connection with the viewer that I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it makes the viewer a little uncomfortable. The ferrets don't really, they don't do
They don't
a
make
lot,
eye
I
contact?
guess. Yeah, it was an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
But he did bite her finger while she was holding him while I was taking the photos. So that ended up being a neat little thing.
Yeah, he comes across a little more as a prop than a
Right. Yeah, exactly. Then as another
than a
subject.
character.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know this guy that's coming up here.
Oh yeah, that's Brandon.
That's Brandon.
And,
And that's
dog.
the,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the Brandon.
That's the
As
Brandon.
everyone.
Wow, and so this is
Brandon.
this is the first of your subjects that I know personally, and there's definitely something about your ability to capture something of a person's character too, right? It's very interesting to be, like seeing a portrait of somebody, but to actually take it upon yourself to capture certain aspects of them or their character,
right.
and to do it in a subtle way, sometimes with color and just how they're posed or whatnot.
Right. I thought it would be really lovely to put him with my neighbor's dog, Princess, who we see a lot, or we saw a lot. She's beautiful.
Awesome.
And the blue background, which is so blatantly by definition a masculine color, but he's holding a feminine dog.
holding Princess.
And, right. And his hair is it's just beautiful. He has beautiful hair.
Yeah.
I thought that he would be an excellent subject. And sort of, he fits in really well to the subjects that I enjoy looking at with, the old Dutch masters, too. You know what I mean? Like, the haircut and the face. The
Yeah, and just the blue with there's the detail of the blue in his eye
Yeah.
too, and it makes his eyes stand out, and even down to the detail of knowing and recognizing him wearing that shirt or something. Like that's
He
when I
loves that
saw that.
shirt.
Yeah, when I
Yep.
saw that, it's just such a perfect portrait of Brandon. And if you know and love Brandon like we do, you're just like, yes, that's amazing. I love it.
That's
And that's
great to hear.
That's Princess. The detail of Princess there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that she works really well. She looks at you, you know?
Yeah.
That's the last of my paintings, but I brought some images that are paintings that I love. These are old Dutch paintings. This is by Quentin Matsius. It's called The Ugly Duchess.
Wow.
And it's from about 1513. Something I forgot to mention is my use of hands. I like to incorporate hands. A lot of times they look a little twisted, a little awkward. And that's something that Quentin Matsius did really well, that I take from him. If you look at her weird hands that don't even need to be there. This painting, actually, I was reading, was a painting making fun of old women trying to be beautiful and young. So when apparently really we're just, they're hags. But I just think it's an amazing painting.
So it was a social commentary of the time. And
Yeah,
so,
I mean, kind of a mean one too, but it's
so
a
surreal
fascinating
to me.
painting.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. You can't take your eyes off it.
Yeah, I love this piece. And then next, this is Johann Verspronk. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
This is one of the Dutch painters you referred to earlier?
Yes, this is from the 16. I have my dates right over here. 1641. This is all Golden Age. And this painting I actually got to see. It's a girl with blue dress, which is kind of, I didn't mention titles, but this is how I title things as well. Just very, Brandon is called B on blue. Megan on purple.
Anya
M
on
on
orange.
yellow. Yeah, a lot of times if Emily, I'll title it M because that's what I call her. Lex on pink, her name's Alexia. But just little personal things like that, but just always very blatant, like Anna with cat, just to label what they are. I don't want the title doesn't have anything to do with the painting itself. It only is to be able to refer to it in conversation.
Yeah.
So this is Girl in Blue Dress, and I was able to see this at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, and it's amazing. But if you'll notice, there's just like this observational quality, like just observing life, and they're very stoic and almost a little funny. This is Judith Leister. It's called A Boy and a Girl with a Cat and an Eel. And I've like read a little bit about this painting as well. I mean, she was a Dutch artist. I think this painting's like 1620 or something like that. This was a painting meant to teach children a lesson. I'm not really sure what the lesson is. But
Don't make seals and cats, apparently.
Well, apparently
having so
what
much fun.
happened, it's an allegory, and apparently what happened is these children tricked this cat with this eel, and they caught the cat, and now if you'll look, the little girl is pulling the cat's tail. The cat is very uncomfortable, and they're just like yakking it up. So I don't know what the lesson is exactly. Don't be jerks.
Well, maybe it was more shocking. Be
Yeah.
like, they're pulling on that cat's tail.
But I see
yeah.
there's so much like life and vibrancy in their faces, right? They're
And
such
humor.
happy children and humor and like the way the boy's looking up and he's got this kind of smirk on his face.
Right.
And it's full of life. That's really beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, I really like Judith Leister's work a lot. She's great. This painting is by Peter Paul Rubens. He is definitely one of my biggest influences from that period. I've seen this painting twice in real life, and as I said before, like seeing a painting in real life is completely different than looking at a JPEG.
Where did you see it? Where is it?
Well, I saw it for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago at the MFA in Boston. It was there, and I walked into the room, and it's like 7 feet tall and like 4 or 5 feet across, and the horse just like it catches you from across the room. The guy's not even on there. This is called the Equestrian Portrait of the Duke of Lerma, and it's like 1635 or something.
And a commissioned work by this dude?
1603, yes. When Rubens was in Spain. He's one of my favorite. He's a Flemish painter from the Golden Period. But yeah, this painting, you know, it made me think of what I could do with animals. It made me think of the connection that I could create just as I create it with people, and that I should bring animals into it and play around with them a little bit. And I'm not like an animal lover. Like, I love my cat. She's awesome. But I'm not like, you know, I like the images a lot. I feel like they're really powerful and they add something. This is another Rubens portrait of a young man. And this is just very typical Dutch portraiture, but there's a stiffness. I think that you can see it reflected in my work just a little bit, you know. And they're also, the Dutch had the technique down. It was really beautiful. And then we're jumping ahead to like maybe this is Otto Dixon. I think it's 1912.
This really represents that kind of theme you're talking about too, about the stiffness and that uncomfortable. I'm posing, but there's something that something not being spoken out loud and going on. Yeah.
He was a German painter and part of a movement called the New Objectivity that happened before World War II. And then the next one is Lucian Freud, and you'll see Jenny Seville in just a moment, but you can see the connection between like just the breaking up of color and that adding to the emotional impact that the painting has. I mean, Freud was doing something very different than what I'm doing, but it was remarkable. He's a remarkable painter. He died not long ago. I don't know, a couple of years ago. This painting was from 1985, though. And then the next two are Jenny Seville paintings. This one's called Propped. And you'll see that element of the grotesque. And these are really large. All of her paintings are really
quite striking. Yeah, what medium is this? Is this oil as well?
Yeah, she is known for applying her paint with palette knives. Yeah. And working insanely big, like 13 by like taking up parts of rooms with one piece.
Wow.
I don't think these paintings in particular are that large. This is about 6 by 7 foot is the propped, which is the one on the bike, and then the next one is 7 by 8 feet, and it's called Reverse.
Wow, that's
This
intriguing.
is more repulsive, I guess. It's a better example. And then John Curran, who I mentioned, I've got a couple of his next. And then
Wow,
I guess
she's really
that's
great.
it.
I love
She
this that I'm
is.
looking at here. This is, I mean, it's kind of ambiguous as to if this is a moment of fear, a sexual moment, a moment of excitement, a moment of
Right.
boredom,
Yeah.
and yet so arresting. You know.
They're all self-portraits too, or most of
Oh,
her
really?
paintings are self-portraits. Yes. Yeah, she's remarkable. Definitely look her up if you're interested in painting. These are John Curran pieces. He incorporates humor a lot too. This is called Heartless, from like 1997, and the next one is called The Moroccan, and that's a Curran painting as well.
Wow, interesting. Is that fish on that person's head?
Yes. Fish as a hat.
And the subtle use of the wood, the knots in the wood in the back,
Right.
right? That's really great.
Right. And the last image that I have on here is Jill Greenberg. She's a photographer, and she did this series
Oh, wow.
of photos called Monkey Portraits. And
That's
That's
a
wild.
Right?
photograph.
yes, but I mean, look at this connection that this monkey. I
He
I
knows
think
something.
They're really
Yeah, the eye
remarkable.
contact and like
He
exactly the
knows.
theme that you're kind of trying to describe there. That's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Striking.
That an animal can do that.
Yeah, like it
I-
reminds me of the one portrait you showed us with the man on the horse, the Duke that commissioned
The Duke of Lerma.
Duke of Lerma. You're kind of looking at that, and you could take it from both perspectives. It's like, oh, this is a portrait of a human and his horse,
Right.
or this is a portrait of a horse that happens to have a human on its
Right.
back, you know.
Right.
And showing this one at the end, I love how you finish it up by showing us this because it's true, you know, the humanity and the pain and the history that you get from a good look in the eyes of a portrait,
Yeah.
and you're getting all of that from this animal. Do we know exactly what kind of monkey this or
I don't.
baboon or?
I
what?
don't. It was
No.
there's a book of these photos. Her name is Jill Greenberg.
Mhm.
She's remarkable.
Mhm. Very cool.
But yeah,
Monkey portraits.
Monkey Portraits. That's
Wow.
what it's called. That's what the show was called. It was like 2004 maybe.
Mhm.
Really great.
And
Yeah,
something
that's
you
wild.
don't usually see. I mean, how many
Literally.
times do we get to see
Monkey portraits.
that kind of animal? And
Right.
there's such few humans that actually do see it in the wild, and yet bring it into the studio. Let's tell the animal itself, like, you are the subject of
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, having this look into the eyes at that perfect moment with the perfect color and everything, that's really beautiful. I love that. Really great. Cool. So,
So-
thank you so much, Kelly. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very cool. So
thank
what's
you.
so what's up now? Do you have any exhibitions coming up? I mean, you mentioned
got
your work
the-
being shown at the university.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on the
can-
calendar that?
No, not right now.
Anywhere we
Um,
can go and take a look at small JPEG versions of your
Oh yeah, you
art?
can go to my website, KelliThompsonArt.com. KelliThompson art.com.
KelliThompsonArt.com. Cool.
Yeah, and I've got all of these images on there, and new things will be up soon. I'm open for studio visits. Contact me.
Cool. Yeah, we'll put it on the
anytime.
archive as well. People will be able to get the links to your pages
That's
and be able
awesome.
to contact
My
you.
studio is just right over on Troutman Street, 1717 Troutman. So
Cool.
like just a few blocks.
Yeah,
from
we'd love to
where
come
I am.
over and check out some of the stuff that's not just you know, on the LCD screen, of
Yeah.
course. You know.
Please do.
Yeah, very cool. And just the power behind a cool portrait like that, and just like there's so much behind it. When you first describe like what you were fascinated by portraits, and then watching your process and going through all of these, it's really striking like how powerful it can be. And you know, I just I think you're amazing. I think it's really great work. So
Thank you so much.
fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kelly, so much for being on the show. Kelli Thompson. Yeah, awesome. Cool. So stick around. We're gonna have our little improv jam, and this has been episode 18.
It has been episode
It's been a
18.
good one, right? We had
It has been a great
Kelly
one.
mentioned this earlier, right?
Thank
You
you,
mentioned
everybody,
it,
for
like we have
being
the
here.
writer, we have the visual artist, we have a
Mhm.
musician on. So I think today was a really good,
the
well
trifecta.
balanced trifecta. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So cool. So we want to thank Daniel Gonzalez again. Thanks, Dan, for the poetry. That was really great having you on. Really cool. John Turner, thank you so much for the performance. Fumio Toshiro and Kelli Thompson. And this is Biscuit.
And
So
Biscuit.
say hi to the world, Biscuit. This is your moment to shine. And we're going to use Biscuit as our segue into our improvisational jam, led by Fumio Tashiro and featuring Dean Brown. Thank you very much, everybody. Episode 18. We'll see you next week.
Yo, 18 episode, getting greener. Couple pieces of component machine, I'm just doing it. New bronze on the finger, spinning it. Never doing it till the ending, it's just the beginning, kid. Let me limit this to none, open the floor. Rhymes off the mind, gonna always sound raw. Of course, we just started to plug into the cipher skills. Make it just like climbing hills. Just roll on down and let the beat and the sound captivate you, elevate you in this space. Who fresh to death, Sulphurbath productions where the beat and the percussion make something that's nothing that you never ever heard before. The sound is so raw, it's like uncooked floor. Let's grassroots the move, we never stop. Sulphurbath till the top 18 gonna drop.
Jerking off, huh? What's wrong away.